Here we are.
Say, here's something I can read. Pretty well, anyway. It's in Latin. Forever glory, the and power, the and kingdom, the is, thou, thine. The is thine, kingdom, the is thine.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't read anymore. I know what that is. That's the Lord's Prayer backwards. That's the Lord's Prayer backwards. That's the Lord's Prayer backwards.
All right. Hello, and welcome to Bronze Age Monsters. I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Jacob Balcom.
And we're dealing with some technical stuff already, so I'm super stoked about that.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll say that, this is our test run. We're doing this live on StreamYard. If you're watching with us, awesome. Yeah, we got some people here. If not, you're just listening. We're going to be putting this in our podcast feed, so this is just our new episode. But yeah, we're trying a different way, so hopefully this will go okay.
Yeah, so for the record, we usually say hello and welcome to Bronze Age Monsters, the show where we wade into the weirdest and wildest waters of the comic books of the 1970s. This season on BAM, we're talking about Damon Hellstrom, a.k.a. the Demon Spawn, a.k.a. the Scion of the Netherworld, a.k.a. the Son of Satan. And again, I am Matt Howell, as we mentioned.
I'm Jacob Balcom, again.
Again, still. Okay, so if you don't know, we have a voicemail that is 971-220-5865 or 971-220-JUNK. You can always call us, leave us a voicemail about who you are, what you're thinking, what you're reading, where we're going right or wrong. We love to hear from you. And we play those on the air frequently. So yeah, there's a bunch of adjustment going on right now, live in the moment. For instance, we were going to taste another of our Season 4 Damon Hellstrom drinks, and I had to call it off at 6:42, I think, because I thought I had an ingredient, and I didn't. And then Jacob told me like 4 minutes ago that I actually do have some, but I didn't realize that I did. So, yeah, we're not doing a drink this week either. And we're also doing some stuff on the fly, like trying to troubleshoot why I can't show art in the image. So we're going to work on that as well. So I'm going to let Jacob talk to you a little bit about the interview that we just had published with our friend Tim Tucker in Pod magazine, which is a podcast industry magazine, and while I do some graphics work in the background here.
Yeah, that was super fun. Yeah, super friend of the show, Tim Tucker. I almost think he was one of our first guests, really. And yeah, great guy, great writer of werewolf fiction. And he wanted to interview us. He's doing some freelance writing for this podcast industry magazine. Yeah, Pod. And he interviewed us about our show and how our show went from a weird little niche thing to us doing the screening with Michael down in Hollywood. So it was it's our rags to riches story. Well, you were never in rags, Matt.
Really? That's right. I remember that when I grew up, I knew Alfonso Ribeira, and we used to ride this train around my dad's house all the time. Yeah. It was so cool. And my dad was John Houseman.
Yeah, so. Some would even say you had a silver spoon.
Some would say that, yes. Okay, so I think I've troubleshot this a little bit. I would like to know, anybody out there listening, is my mic okay? Because previously when we did this show, my voice got robotic with this Yeti mic, and I just want to make sure it's not being super crazy. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, I heard it last time, and you are good.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we'll get some confirmation from our. You can say hi to Letty and say hi to Jason, who are here with us.
Hi, Letty. Hi, Jason. I am ready to. I'm ready to talk about this issue because I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, me too.
Spoilers.
What a cool issue. I know. Yeah, we're gonna have fun talking about this one.
Cool. So I feel like there's some other stuff we need to talk about, but I don't know what that is. I will tell you something. if these live shows do go well and we continue to do them, I am going to work in some types of prizes, and they're going to be prizes that you can't just get by Googling something, fuck all that, like just cheating stuff. So it's going to be some type of like deep cut quiz question that cannot be Googled, but I want to give away stuff from our Threadless shop. Cool. I did want to mention in relation to that, I ordered the I Hope You Make a Change for the Best, which has the Darn Porn art of Jackery in the Darkhold and then turning into the werewolf. I got one for myself in a French cherry sweatshirt on like navy, like a something, I forgot what it was, but I got a 2XL because post-COVID, I am a 2XL guy, God damn it. Yep. When it comes to stuff, I want stuff to be baggy. Gotcha. And I put it on, and it was like, I could see what used to where my ribs are. So I was like, fuck this, man. So I was going to give it away to the audience through a drawing. But then my daughter came in and saw it and fell in love with it and put it on. And so now she has it. But that does not change the idea that we will be giving away stuff from the Threadless shop. Because, but I did want to say though, the shirt's fucking amazing. The design is so gorgeous. The colors pop. I ordered a really nice, it's called Sponge Fleece to replace it, and they didn't charge me the difference. Like I ordered like a $15 or $18 more expensive one than the French Cherry, and the dude just like, don't worry about it. You get a one-time exchange, no pay of difference. We'll send it to you right away. So please order something out of the shop. They're amazing. They come out really good. The Man-Wolf shirt is amazing. The Star God one and the that Werewolf Perlin thing is sick. I was just goofing around with the cover from Werewolf by Night number 15, where he's battling Dracula atop the battlements of Castle Dracula, and I just cut out everything except the moon and Drac and Werewolf fighting, and I'm waiting until Plug dies, but that's going to be a shirt at some point. Oh,
shit. Yeah, I can't wait for that. And
you can't wait for Plug to die?
Can't wait for Plug to die. No, and I also want, I also want one of those Change for the Best shirts. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother, pick one out and just tell me what you want. Yeah. It's coming out of the coffers.
Sweet.
Yeah, I paid for it out of our money.
Nice. Damn right.
Can I show you the beer off? This is nice because normally on the canned show, only you get to see the beer. But this time, I figured this is from Wayfinder, which is here in Portland, down in Produce Row, Portland, if you know the Portland area right off the river. A lot of great breweries and distilleries down there. But this one is Export 66. Oh my God, this even ties into the... yeah,
it does.
Getting ahead of myself. But yeah, this is an export lager from Wayfinder, but look at this art here. We got...
It's awesome.
Some tarot-esque type of imagery going on, so I thought that would be fitting.
Perfect.
I love that serpent at the bottom, and you got all the Damon trident. So, what do we think?
Nicely done.
It's a lager, and I know it's,
It's a lager.
It's good. I just like the art. Okay. Thank you, Letty, for confirming that is okay audio. I'm ready to dig in, man. I have been excited for this all day, honestly.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's open up with the cover.
So, yeah, we're looking at Marvel Spotlight. We lost the on last issue. Marvel Spotlight, The Son of Satan, number 20. This is another Gil Kane with Frank Giacoia inks and some Esposito. According to Nick Caputo, he said they both contributed to it. How does Nick Caputo do this?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes these guys on GCD, they'll go through work logs and stuff like that. But a lot of times I'm like, he's probably just going with his gut. But, Nick Caputo is one of like a dozen guys that just updates a lot of this stuff. And they do fight amongst themselves enough to where I think they kind of have to come with homework in hand, showing their work a little bit. So I trust Nick. He hasn't let us down yet, as far as we know.
I feel like there's some small indie, charming indie film in there, like warring, Caputo versus, like there's some hate rivalry between two guys who disagree on something. Like it just seems like there'll be some funny indie comedy in there. Like
I love it. Yeah, I love following these guys. Like, there's the guy that runs the Atlas history site. No, there's like a dozen historians that kind of like each other, but also fight constantly. And I fucking love
really?
It. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so this cover's sick. I went deep in this. I think Gerber went down a rabbit hole personally on this one. So this has, if you're not familiar with the tarot or tarot, as we've been corrected recently, this is the famous card of the devil. It's like the Tenacious D t-shirts. It's Baphomet. He's usually depicted as having oftentimes breasts and has goat horns, an inverted pentagram on his forehead, harpy feet, like goat haunches, and he's sitting on top of a rectangular like onyx thing, and there's a male and female demon who are tied to that same obelisk, and that's how he's depicted on many tarot cards. So here we get a very cool cosmic-y, Gerber-y Baphomet coming out of the card in space or the between worlds, reaching out at a new character and Damon, who's floating around, and he seems completely unfazed by this. Like, this is just, morning, Sam. Morning,
Yep.
Steve.
What do you think of his tattoo on this cover?
Not a fan, man. They even
Not a
filled it
fan.
in.
Oh, I know.
But they get it right later.
They do get it right later, but yeah, come on, Ramita. This is your job now. You're the art director. You need to catch shit like this. Maybe he just couldn't tell Gil Kane what to do, which I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the really nice Google Slides presentation I made for all of this issue, I broke out every row into its own subpage, and I put a bunch of Baphomets from different tarot cards throughout history on here. Like, I would have got an A in this course. But
Yeah, you would have.
I kept getting 404s every time I tried to connect my Google Slides account to my StreamYard account. So we're doing a fallback. So yeah, I love the colors. I love whatever that character is behind them with the skull inside the suit of armor. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I love the Gil Kane art. This is a really great cover. And I mean, technically, everything this stuff kind of happens. Does it happen? I'm not sure the devil grabs who we'll find out later. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? That gives me an excuse to introduce another co-star. This is the whiskey I talk about all the time on here, Westward, and I'm a member of the club. This is their spring release. It's a type of wine I call a Sauterne, Sautrenes. I'm not familiar with it, but that's the cask they aged it in, and it is so gorgeous.
It's a great company. I'm drinking a Ramita alteration out of my Shriners cup that I showed our Discord.
I tried to make Renee an Alatu's Embrace, which was the drink I introduced that has 1-to-1 tincture in it, some shitty bourbon, lemon kombucha, and ice. And we're out of kombucha. I did a shit job today, man. I went in the office and I thought I was going to pop in and do one quick thing, and I ended up being a stand-in and setting up this whole shoot for Monday morning first thing. So I got totally scrambled and out of sorts. So I apologize. I thought we'd talk really briefly before we dive in, if that's okay, Jacob, about what the devil means in tarot cards.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it has several divinatory associations. Excuse me. This is from Wikipedia. So it says ravage, violence, vehemence, extraordinary efforts, force, fatality, that which is predestined but is not for this reason evil. And if the card is reversed, because as you know, if you know much about tarot, you can flip them around and that has the same impact. Evil fatality, weakness, pettiness, blindness. So he's never super great. But yeah, I mentioned that he squats on the pedestal and there's the naked demons. Yeah, well, I won't jump ahead of you. So yeah, I love that there's weird, I found a really old one from the 15th century where he has his face is on his tummy and there's full on genitalia on it, and it looks very Dark Ages. It's really bizarre. I'll share some of these later since the slideshow went to waste.
Yeah,
but
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, the card's associated with Saturn, and the correlating zodiac Earth sign is Capricorn. If you're one of those people.
All right, you want to jump onto the opening page?
I am so ready.
Yeah, me too. All right, so the title of our story is The Fool's Path. And the cast of creators for this issue are Steve Gerber, Sal Buscema, artist, Al McWilliams, inker, John Costanza, letterer, George Rousseau, colorist, and Len Wein is our editor. So, yeah, I think this is Len Wein's first month as EIC. I think he lasts a year, maybe two. I don't know if someone lasted 2 years. I can't remember if it was him or Wolfman or but as we've talked about many times, the revolving door of EICs after Roy Thomas left. So
Super
but
burnout.
yeah, it was a job you burned out on real quick. I think we've talked about Sal at some point, but in case you don't know, he's the younger brother of John Buscema, and Sal's going to be handling the art for the rest of the Marvel Spotlight run. So we're going to have lots of time to dive into his career.
We've talked really briefly about him. He's come up here and there, and I think I've made it clear on the show that I am a latecomer to appreciating his work. When I was a kid and I picked up a Sal issue, I was like, oh, this guy. His faces are very distinct, like when someone's yelling or something like that, and he has a very distinct thing, and I was not a fan of him as a kid, but you know what? I didn't like Kirby or Ditko that much when I was like 10 either, so I was stupid. As an adult, I've come back, like when I started reading like Clone Saga and just different stuff from like the early 90s even, when he was carrying, I think, Spectacular Spider-Man. I completely, my eyes were just open to him, and I fucking love him now, and this does not change that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to.
No, not at all. That's what I was going to say too. I mean, I actually think because he handled I think he did at least 100 issues in a row of Spectacular Spider-Man, and I'm pretty sure he did what was my favorite run is that weird run where it's all the supporting characters that Jerry Conway did. I think Tombstone is introduced during that run, if I'm correct.
I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, and that is one of my favorite that's one of my favorite Spider-Man runs. It's so good, and I loved that Jerry focused on the supporting cast, which you and I love, and he seemed to know that he could do that he could do like 4 or 5 issues where Spider-Man's not the main guy in the book, which is pretty fucking awesome. No, Sal's great,
And am I crazy, or is he in the 70s mostly associated with the Incredible Hulk, right? Like that's kind of his title back in that decade.
Yeah, I think so. I think he definitely had a run on that. Yeah, I mean, but I think he worked most with Jerry Conway in the end. I mean, I think on the Hulk, on Spider-Man, on a bunch of stuff. I actually think Sal just got better with age. Like, I think, even his stuff going into into the 90s and the Clone Saga stuff. It's pretty cool. I mean, he's maybe not his brother, but I think he's in his brother's style, but is distinct and has his own way of storytelling. And yeah, you're right. I mean, as an adult, I liked his stuff as a kid, but as an adult, I've grown to appreciate him a lot more.
Yeah, that's. Do you know? I've never seen his earliest work. Do you think that did he come out of the gate trying to be his brother, and just realized he wasn't, and then did his own thing, or did he come out like swinging as Sal?
I don't know. I mean, I think I think he maybe was a bit more of a clone of his brother at the beginning, but just from bio stuff that I've kind of read about him, sounds like his brother was like a pretty hard critic of his immediately. I mean,
I've heard that.
Sal's the younger brother, and I think John was not kind when he started out in the industry, if I'm correct.
It's because he loved him.
Yeah, it's because he loved him. Yeah, I get it. But so interestingly, the inker on this issue, Al McWilliams, his first comic credit is from 1937. I honestly think that's the oldest credit that we have had to deal with in our entire run.
Pre-Gutenberg. Huh.
Yeah, I know, right?
Jesus.
Yeah, so he handled the art for a story in Dell's. It's a book that's just called The Comics. Number 4.
That's how old it is.
That's how old it is. They're like, okay, stay with us. There's this new medium.
the sitcom.
Yeah. Oh, it's fucking great. So it was a story called Speed Bolton Air Ace. He worked a lot for like Western and Dell and Lev Gleason Publishing over the years. After the 40s, I think he mainly did like crime. Yeah, late 40s, all the way into the 60s, he did crime and romance, I think. Mostly. This is his first Marvel credit, honestly.
Oh, wow.
He only has 7. Like, he only worked for Marvel. I mean, just very rarely, and mostly just in like an 8-month time span, it seems like. He did the inks on the first couple issues of Iron Fist, or first kind of premiere of Iron Fist. And interestingly, I was reading about him. He did a really early graphic novel that was an adaptation of Dracula from 1966.
What?
Which I was like, what the fuck? I want to read that. It was published as a paperback book by Ace Publishing. I guess it was reissued. I think it was republished in 2021, I read, and I want to get that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, right? I'd never even heard of that.
Does it have word balloons, or is it like...
Yeah, it's like a fucking graphic novel. And I think the one that came before that was It Rhymes with Lust, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Really?
Which is so good.
I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is a one that came a little later. But yeah, it sounds really cool. So yeah, Matt, you and I need to definitely
No kidding.
check that out.
I feel really... I've egg on my face right now. I thought I was like the Dracula horror graphic novel comics guy.
I didn't realize it at all. Well, just because, I'm just not familiar with Al McWilliams. But yeah, he had a really long career. He also worked a lot in strips, which is, what all these guys want to do. I think he did the Star Trek strip for a long time. And yeah, stayed real busy. But yeah, as far as Marvel work, we just didn't know all that much about it. So it was really cool. Yeah, I'm glad that we get him again in issue 25, if I'm correct, of Marvel Spotlight.
So that's two of his
seven. Yeah.
Wow.
There's one Power Man, like maybe 3 Iron Fist, and a couple of the horror books. And I think that's it for him.
So if I buy the Luke Cage omnibus I've been eyeing, and I already have the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, I pretty much have most of his Marvel work in my bookshelf.
Yeah, I think you might.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. So I don't know. I'd like to look into this guy's earlier stuff. I mean, I think he did pencils and inks for the majority of his career, but I think at this point, I mean, he's not. Yeah, I mean, when is this? 1975?
Yeah.
Are we in yet? So, he's not a young man.
Yeah, I mean,
but
when was that the comics published? 37?
The comics was published in 37. Yeah.
So he must have been born in 20 at the least, right? I mean,
oh, he was probably earlier than that. Honestly. Yeah, he's probably. I think he was born in like 1916, 1917 or something. And so, yeah, but he did serve in World War II, pretty much the entire time. So, but he had such a backlog of like crime and all this other stuff that he just continued to be published all through the war, which I thought was pretty
amazing.
Cool.
Holy shit!
I was like, oh my god.
What did he do after his little Marvel thing? Like, how long was he in the industry?
For a while into the 70s, he did a lot of the Charlton horror stuff.
Oh wow!
And what is that, Dr. Graves?
Yeah,
and a lot of stuff like that. He worked on really cool shit. I'm just not familiar with him hardly at all. But all the titles that I read he worked on, it's Boris Karloff and Tales of Terror, all sorts of cool shit. So
just coming back somehow.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. It's on like a Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so am I. So yeah, I mean, when I saw this, I was like, I don't know who this is. Is this Al Williams, like just Al Williamson, just like doing a shadow gig or something?
Nope.
Like nope.
No. So yeah, let's get into the art. So yeah, like you said, we get a really cool illustration of the devil card. And yeah, we have the devil that we saw on the cover. And in between him is a chained Damon and Dr. Catherine Reynolds. And yeah, they're in this kind of cool, space netherworld scene. I think it's a really strong opening page to me. I think it's really striking, really fucking badass. I love the narration, so I'm going to read it. It says, first under the Fool's Path, it says the Tarot. And it says the Cards of Destiny, the deck of, is that 70? Yeah, 778. Which tells the tale of life's journey from the fool's innocence through the dawning of awareness, the awakening of the spirit, and ultimately the attainment of cosmic consciousness. The origin of the cards and their strange and beautiful symbolism is a secret lost to the ages, but their mystic philosophy lives, and their power to predict the future, many would say, is all too real. Yeah, Gerber's writing is great on this, and I love that. I think you get the page later on. It's like, there's so much text, and I'm just like, oh, Gerber's Gerberin at this point. There's a lot of text in his shit from 75, and I love it. I mean, it's something, you know, that Alan Moore would do later, and I'm sure. I mean, I know Steve Gerber was a huge influence on Alan Moore. So yeah, it's cool to see Gerber really stretching out and getting weird.
Yeah. I like the fact that, I mean, it's not like it's a huge surprise or anything or a big innovation, but like that in the traditional card, there, like I said, there was a male and female demon bound to this obelisk, and this is Damon and Dr. Reynolds here. Mm-hmm. But she looks like she's from Planet of the Apes or a Star Trek episode.
A Star Trek episode. Robes. Yep, that's what I saw most.
Yeah. Cool. So we're moving on. We get a new character. Y'all know that I'm a junkie for supporting cast, so I was super stoked when I saw this girl on the cover. I'm like, she looks like Lissa. Is this a new character? We got a new character here? And we do. We go to Gateway University's women's dorm, which looks really nice. And she's opening her mail, and she is shocked because there is a piece of mail that's weird. It's an invite. It's a death card from the tarot deck. The horseman atop the steed. And she's horrified by it. And she goes to see her professor, who's Dr. Reynolds, and she says, and since we were discussing fortune telling in your class last week, I hoped maybe you could help. And I was like, God, can you imagine having this like caseload, like this workload of like my mom would be so pissed if I was going to U of O, and I'm like, she's like, so what are you studying? I'm like, we did tarot last week, but next week we're doing like, distant viewing or whatever the fuck that's called, remote viewing, you know? But yeah, so she's totally invested, and she's like, you know, I can't imagine who would send this to you. You know, Damon, do you know anything? You know more about this stuff than I do. And he seems very cozy with her. He's just hanging around. You know what I mean? Like, he's just in her office on campus, like, and just leaning over her in a very familiar way. I don't mind it. I like it. I really like that Sal, in my opinion, creates what is to me like the mental go-to of what Damon looks like now. Like, he constantly is drawn with the things, but they look like moth antennae. Like, to me, that once he does that, it's like, nope, he has to have that every time. And here he has it's 74/75. It's whatever, but like a beige blazer with a black turtleneck under it. Like, it's so perfect. And I love that, you know, Damon just cuts the chase. He's like, well, did you look at the message on the back? So he turned it around, and it says, you and a friend are cordially invited to learn your futures from Madame Swabata. Hours 8 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Saturday, 014 Gravois near Grand Boulevard. So there's instructions, and the girl's like, oh, you really think that's all there is to it, Mr. Hellstrom? Because he's like, yeah, I think it's just a cruel ad campaign, like meant to shock and scare you. And I love this. And so this bottom left panel here, pure Buscema gold, like just that haughty Namor kind of whatever that is to him. I love the way he draws him here. And he's like, that's probably all it is, but it's kind of weird nobody else got this invite, so I'm a little concerned, and I think we should investigate. And by the way, I'm your +1.
Yeah.
And so on the bottom right, we get to cut to the storefront of Madame Swabata, and I love Sal's creepy little gargoyle in the foreground. Like, the whole panel's cool with its own kind of clutter and whatever. And we see Comatees, by the way, in a framed fucking picture in the background of her wall. But there's a little goblin guy that I just love in the foreground.
Matt, I have to say, I mean, it kind of looks like a velvet painting, but I'm going to say that painting is a blacklight poster.
Oh.
So, yeah, we got to drink. We got to drink to that.
Here. So, gladly join you in that repast.
Yeah, I do love how familiar Damon is with, but you know, they went to parties. They go to parties. They traveled back in time.
They went to party?
Like, yeah, they went to party and Atlantis. So I think if I, was friendly with a gal, we went to one party and to Atlantis, I would be pretty familiar. I'd lean over her. I'd be okay with that.
I would. I've developing a crush on this doctor so far. It's happening. So one thing I did want to note was that address. I did look this up. This is a real avenue. There's a Gravois Park, and Grand does cut through it, but Gravois is actually old Route 66 on Google Maps.
Oh, shit.
So that's when I was like, hey, what? Route 66, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like Export 66. So is that Gerber having fun? I looked up like the intersection where 14 Gravois would be, where it intersects with Grand, and it's just like a weird, not a flat iron, but it's one of those weird like triangular intersections. There's a White Castle there now, but maybe that's I don't know if there's some significance to what it was back then. But right now it's just nothing. It's just a White
But
Castle
I wouldn't put it past Gerber. I mean, he's really feeling his powers right now, so he's going to be putting weird shit, weird references in that mean something to him that kind of make the story richer. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. So
did you love the little guy as much as me, or am I?
I loved the little guy, of course. Yeah, he's fucking awesome. Next page, Damon kind of demands an explanation from Madam. What is her name?
Swoboda?
Swoboda. Yeah. He demands an explanation for sending Christine the death card. This page is really wordy, so I tried to summarize it as much as I could. Madame Swoboda explains that the death card does not predict death, but only signifies upcoming change. I like that she says she wants to help Christine reach her full potential, which, in the 70s is very menacing. Yeah. Like potential was a bad thing for cults, for self-help stuff. Like it's as bad of a word as like self-actualizing and stuff like that.
But how are my ZPs?
Yeah,
more importantly.
God, I can't not drink when you say ZP now after the astrologer.
All right, I'll join you.
So they sit down for a reading. She first draws the Knight of Swords card. And she says, the Knight of Swords for a young man of courage and daring. True, this is usually the card of a brown-haired man. But I believe the spirit of this card suits you best. Wouldn't you agree? Speaking to Damon. Damon says, I agree that the reader has privilege of exercising such a judgment. May I shuffle the cards? And he says, he's like, that's right. Now ask a question of the cards as you shuffle. Then cut the deck thrice. To the left, please. Hand them back to me and we'll begin. I like that Damon, I'd like to think that he's supernaturally fast in shuffling the deck. He's just kind of showing off a little bit.
Yeah.
He says he does. And Madame Swoboda turns over the top card. This covers you, she says. And it is the card of the moon that has wolves and a scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what doesn't matter. I was like so in on this. Like, that woman looks like I'm trying to think what artist it reminded me of. Like post DC, like more like House of Mystery kind of. I don't know who that is. Like this old hag is amazing though.
Yeah, well, the old hag was more of I can't remember what kind of host she was. Not Secrets of Sinister House, but yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of like the Crone from EC, but DC's horror titles kind of ripped off all of the hosts as best they could. So, yeah, I know she's great, and I looked her up. She has 4 appearances in the MU. So
Swoboda?
Yeah, we're gonna see her again. 2 more times in this book, I think, and then she shows up in Man-Thing as well with Gerber. Gerber loves to spread his many-charactered cast around on the books that he writes, which is awesome. I love it.
Are we willing to take a technological leap here and maybe risk something not working? Because I kind of want to see if I can jump to this slideshow here. Because I want to show this 2-page spread. If not, I'll go back to the PDF.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So here we go. I'm so scared. Remember Thelma and Louise, guys?
Yeah. Jason Feinstone says Sea Hag from Popeye, and I really appreciate that. As a huge fan of the Popeye strip, we have all of the oversized hardcovers here in our living room, and I love it. And yeah, you're right. Very Sea Hag.
Like in a hot way?
Was the Sea Hag ever hot? I mean, if that's what you're into, that's totally cool. I love it.
She's like super hot.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Is this better?
Kinda. Can we full screen that? Can we full screen that shit?
Well, what did I just do? What do you see now? Because I just did something.
I see a loading screen right now.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay.
This is good audio. It really is.
Hey man. Let me do this again. I think that if we can suffer through what I just showed, I think we got better stuff here.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I know. You spent a lot of time on the
No,
Google
it's not a lot of
Slides
time.
thing. A little bit of time. You always
bit
say
of time.
that, but I know that every time you're like, "Oh, it didn't take me any time at all." You're talking like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, but
And
I'm not just I'm listening to like a podcast or I'm doing something. So it's not
yeah,
a
but
big deal.
that adds up. You're a husband. You're a father. You work full time. Don't sell yourself
Barely
short.
a father.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all can see this, right? That I edited this together in Photoshop. Yes,
Yeah.
Jacob, I did do a little bit extra work. I did graphic work. Big
You
deal.
always do. You always do.
So yeah, we get to. Are we ready to launch into this thing?
Yeah, shit. Let's launch into it. You got the 2-page spread here, and God, it's
Yeah,
great.
it's fucking amazing. And I have a question. I use my dictation app on my phone and dictate this entire thing. Do you want me just to recap this, or do you want to go on the? Because Gerber put a lot of work into this reading. Should I just kind of?
I would
gloss
love you to
over?
read. I would love you to read this. Are you kidding me?
For real?
Gerber took the time. Why not?
Okay, so I think I got this right. Okay, so curious. Curious, says Madame Zobata, her wizened face stretching into a cracked, brittle smile. Very curious indeed. Note the several cards of the suite of swords signifying conflict, and the 4 major arena cards: the moon, the devil, the tower, the fool, indicating powerful outside influences at work in your life. Together, they suggest that you may be embroiled in a conflict whose outcome is not in your hands. Damon nods, but his face remains stolid. Yes, that is possible. The card which covers you, representing the general atmosphere which surrounds your question. Wait, that reminds me, Mr. Hellstrom. What was your question? I prefer not to say, Damon replies. As you wish. The covering card is the moon, the card of the psychic, of unforeseen peril or deception. Someone or something, it seems, is acting against you without your knowledge. The devil, this crosses you. The forces opposing you for good or evil may be your own bondage to the material world, or perhaps the powers of black magic. Beneath you, at the heart of the matter, is the 9 of Swords. Desolation, despair, perhaps the death of a loved one. Damon flinches, tenses. My mother, he says mechanically. She died only a year or so ago. Passing out of your life behind you is a time of rest and repose. The 4 swords. And ahead lies peril. The 10 of Swords crowns you, represents what may happen in the future. Misfortune, defeat in battle, failure, pain, tears, relating perhaps to the struggle in your life. For before you, something that will occur in the future is loneliness, despondency, a dark night of the soul, foretold by the 5 of Pentacles. And the gloomy outlook of the cards is reflected in your heart, Mr. Hellstrom. Your fears are represented by the Tower, conflicts, change, unforeseen catastrophe. You doubt the validity of the course you've chosen for your life, and you can expect no encouragement from your family. The reversed 6 of Cups indicates that you feel that you cling to outworn morals and manners, that your cause is hopeless and futile. But you disagree. The 7 of Wands represents your hopes regarding the question. You feel you can hold your own if you persist against all odds, that victory can in fact be won by courage and strength of will. As to the final outcome, the Fool. It appears that after all your strife and struggle, all the pain and loneliness you will endure, all the grief and heartache and destruction foretold by the other cards, you will find your journey has only begun. You will find that no man can conquer the forces you've chosen to oppose, and the choice to abandon your quest will be offered again. In short, the victory you seek is unattainable, and can only lead you back to where you began. The purpose to which you've dedicated your life, Mr. Hellstrom, will come to naught. The old gypsy looks the old gypsy looks Damon squarely in the eye and grins. But Damon does not see. His eyes are fixed firmly on the cards. His mind reels with the dreadful future they portend. His fists clench tight, his brow furrows, and slowly, as if fighting the muscles in his neck, he looks up, furious. I love that he just fully invested in what do tarot cards mean? How do I incorporate this fully into my vision for this entire storyline for this character?
It's awesome. This is the Gerber that I love. I've gone on and on about the Howard the Duck mostly text issue of him moving across country that I love the most. Any time that Gerber can just write like a fucking 10,000 word comic, I am so into it. And I love this so much. And really great job on the voices, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, I was I read this as a digital scan at first, just on a pirate page, and I was going through it, and I'm like, okay, a bunch of Gerber stuff. I love Gerber, blah, blah. And then I flipped the page, ooh, that's a pretty drawing. And then, I pulled up on my Son of Satan Classic, and I was like, oh, fuck, it's a spread.
It's a spread.
And it's the entire reading. I got to do the reading now, because he put a shit ton of work into it. And fucking Buscema nailed this art. I mean, those disembodied heads, and love it.
Yeah, that you're right. Out of the 2-page spread, the second page is fucking amazing. Yeah, you're right. The disembodied heads, all the really great renderings of the tarot cards. It's God, it's good. Man, this is what I don't know. Yeah, we've talked about it again and again since Gerber took over this book. It's just become next level, and it just keeps getting better and better. And yeah, if I was I love how Joe Keating describes it if you're 10 years old and you're sick in bed, and your mom just gets you a bunch of comics, doesn't even look at it, and you open this one, you have slight fever, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? This would blow your tiny mind.
Oh, are you kidding me? I every time he says something like that, or someone says something like that, it reminds me of when I had the wicked flu at 103-degree fever. My mom brought home a couple tapes from the video store, VHS tapes. One was this thing called The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Ninth Dimension. And the other one was this Jonathan Winters movie called Oh Dad, Poor Dad. God, it's something fucking, I'll remember it later. It's so surreal. But this really bad, shitty fucking comedy, black comedy from the late 60s, early 70s. But yeah, Buckaroo Banzai with a bubbling, boiling brain was the weirdest, leptoids, really?
Yeah, that's funny, though, because I have a very similar story of, I was very ill as a kid. I had chronic bronchitis and asthma, and I was in bed a ton. And yeah, I remember being very ill and also watching Buckaroo Banzai, and it totally rewiring my little brain because it's so good. I'm like, wait, he's a surgeon and a rock star and a bunch of other shit?
He's everything.
Yeah, he's everything. And I'm just, as a little kid, you're just no one's ever going to be as cool as this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at this point, when I felt like this wasn't some big puzzle. It's not like I'm Indiana Jones. I was like, oh my God, these things go together. Mm-hmm. I immediately launched up to the next level of, okay, he was really kicking ass here.
Yeah, he was kicking ass. I love that we actually had a bit of a text thread where you were just like, oh, I think there's a 2-page spread. And then you're like, oh my God, there's a double-page spread. Who has this? And then you're like, I think I have this. And you text me again. You're like, I have this.
It's mine.
It's mine. Yeah, that was darling. I have to say, I was very excited. Your enthusiasm was infectious. So,
moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So next page. Yeah, Damon is enraged. He knocks the cards off the table. He's saying, lies, all lies. Admit it, woman. Someone put you up to this. You knew how the cards would fall before we even began. She's like, you misjudged me, Mr. Hellstrom. And worse, you cast your aspersions in the presence of one who desperately needs my power. I warn you, say no more, or I'll be forced to tell the ladies who you truly are. And I love it because, as we've mentioned time and time again, Damon doesn't give a shit about a secret identity.
I know.
So he's just like, that's not a threat, right? And so he immediately raises his hands in the sign of the trident. And the narration says he becomes a living column of fire.
God, that's so cool.
It's so awesome, that little panel. And the narration says when the flame subsides, he wears the cloak, wields the trident of the son of Satan. But still, he does not speak. Oh my God. Yeah, this bottom narration's badass. I just have to read it because I love Gerber's words.
Oh yeah.
It says more accurately, he cannot speak. The fury in his soul has stolen away his eloquence. He could only stare at the old gypsy and snarl. And okay, as these panels go on, his face is getting bigger and bigger. It says while his breathing grows heavy, while his eyes flash with anger and the lust for blood and death, while the last vestige of reason deserts him, and his demonic side comes to the fore. And that final panel is he has his hair horns, is what I just like to call it. And yeah, the coloring, he's all in red and blue, and yeah, his face is just shining with evil. Oh God, I fucking love it. Yeah, I loved the last 3 panels of this page. You there, Matt? I can't quite hear you. Can everyone else hear Matt? There
Sorry,
you are.
I was muted from a cough.
No problem.
I love that, like, he is so pissed off by this reading that where she's clearly like speaking in code to him and like insulting him and like, you know, whatever. It's like it's a shitty message from your dad, basically, you know, to where he's like mute with rage.
Yeah, it's great.
And that last panel should be a t-shirt.
Oh, it should. You know, we can make that happen. We're gonna have to start some Son of Satan shirts in our Threadless shop too, at some point.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that big time. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this page. The art in this issue is just unimpeachable. Like, there's just like everything's fucking cool in it, in my opinion. I love that his fangs are coming out by that last panel as well. Like, I love when his fangs pop out.
Yeah. You know, and I'm noticing, I mean, you know, I know Sal's work pretty well, and I know his 70s work okay, and I really think that Al McWilliams is making a difference in this issue. I can tell.
I think you're right.
I really think his inks, I mean, yeah, he's bringing a fucking before Golden Age sensibility to this, which I don't know. I think it really, really works.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, I've come to love Sal's work, but I think this is next level stuff. So it's got to be help from the inker and the colors. I mean, the colors. Is this Rousseau? I forgot.
This is Rousseau, okay, who's also been around since the goddamn Golden Age. So
goddamn.
I love it. I love it that I almost feel like, I don't know, you know, pre-code, all these guys, you know, got their start obviously way pre-code, and then there was the dark times of the code when they couldn't really, you know, stretch their legs at all. And so I feel like a lot of these old timers, when they got to the 70s, they're like, fuck yeah, man, we gotta do cool shit again. And I think it shows, like, their enthusiasm really shows. It really shines through.
Yeah, I mean, really, what did they have to do after the code besides romance? Like, there's not a
lot of them fell to romance. A lot of
these guys didn't want to do superhero books for the 60s. You know what I mean? Like, that was beyond romance. There were still some war books, but I mean, it was mostly right superhero stuff in the 60s.
Think about Al McWilliams, who for Lev Gleason did a ton of Crime Does Not Pay, one of the most brutal fucking crime books of all time.
Love that book.
Love it. I have a couple of the hardcover collections of them, and god damn, it's brutal. And so imagine someone like that who came up doing full on like horror and war and crime, and then suddenly the code happens, and they're like, fuck. So that's
High Pockets. Oh, quiet, you. We're supposed to be on a team of superheroes together.
But you know, Al McWilliams it seemed like during the code, he didn't do a ton of shit. Like, I think from the mid 50s to the mid 60s, he kind of didn't do a lot of comics. So I almost feel like he had this kind of philosophical, like, oh, comics are fucking boring now. I'm going to do men's magazines. I'm going to do fine art illustration for, you know, advertising.
Make a bunch of money.
Yeah, make the money. And then I think, he kind of came back in. And in the 70s, he did strips and cool fucking comics like this. And I have to imagine that, like, anyone that's working on these Son of Satan books, they're probably not super puritanical in their real life. Like, like I would think that they're not super religious or super square. Like even guys who, are a little older, I would think if they're, they want the work, but I would think, they're offered Son of Satan and they're probably like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, I'm not a super religious guy. I'll do this. Who
I can
gives a
see
shit?
that. Totally.
Yeah.
I have no dog in this fight. And
Yeah.
I'm just happy that there's something that's not goddamn people in superhero suits. I mean, they obviously are. There's still capes, there's still tights, but at least there's demons.
Yeah, there's demons and it's awesome.
Okay. So we're moving on to the next page here, where shit just gets kind of amped up and weird. So he's still so mad he can't speak, so he just starts shooting soulfire at the old gypsy woman and blasting her. He reduces her table to ashes, and finally, he can bring himself to speak. But I did like on this page that they colored his birthmark flesh colored.
Damn right.
So it actually looks like a raised scar or a welt or whatever I've been bitching about the whole fucking season. Like, bring it. Look at that Buscema profile. Like that is that dude to a T. Like
So
that should be in the
awesome.
dictionary next to him. So then he picks her up by the whatever the gypsy version of a lapels are, and he's just like, just flexing, dude. Look at his fucking muscles. She's like, "Don't try to scare me, Hellstrom." She's fully an agent of the devil, right? I mean, there's nobody that thinks she's actually a little woman. She's like, "Worry about yourself. You don't look at all well." And then all of a sudden, he just kind of reels around, drops her, very Shatner, like, oh. So he's been made ill. And she says, "In fact, I wouldn't be surprised from the looks of you if you just keeled over." And he pops down the ground and passes out. Dr. Reynolds is on. She's like, "What happened? Chris, call an ambulance." She's like, "Oh, don't be silly. He'll be fine in a moment. The poor lad's just overtaxed himself, that's all." This page, man, I mean, the angles, the storytelling from Buscema, it's just sick. I love that panel where he wheels around and grabs his forehead, and she's in the background, just kind of creeping on the inky black background, like, it's fine. I don't know. I love her.
You're right. And I mean, Sal's pretty legendary for his storytelling, even though his stuff looks kind of rote and house style sometimes. But yeah, the angles are very, very cool, especially that one, where he grabs his head and then we're above him as he's falling to the ground. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Sal's a master, and he is someone that maybe, in my 20s, I would have been like, that's boring.
I did.
Yeah, and I did
I
too.
literally did.
And as I got older and really kind of knew a little bit more about, just sequential art, that I realized, like, oh, this guy's really fucking good.
Yeah. I remember during the Ben Reilly era, when he took over Spectacular, and Pete went to Portland and Ben became Spider-Man. There was like some issue with a muck monster in it called DK, and it was like some dude who worked for like a waste disposal place. His name was like Dennis, Kiernan, but he got swampy toxic waste on him, and his initials became his name. He's DK, and everything he touches he eats. And it's like reading this, like I was like 20 or no, 19 or 20, and I was like, God, fucking Buscema and the stupid muck monster. This is so shitty. Like now I'd be like just fucking
Yeah.
muck monster, Sal Buscema,
Yeah.
clones.
Yeah.
I love it.
Who was writing that stuff? Was it
Fuck, I can't remember who's writing that.
I can't remember who it was either. Yeah.
I love all that shit now. Like all the stuff that I'd grown about back then. I'm like, yep, that's fucking cool.
No, I totally agree. So on the next page, Damon kind of comes to, and the old crone says, "There, you see, he's getting up all by himself. Now we can get on with Christine's reading." The narration says Chris gapes wide-eyed at the old woman, shakes her head, then joins Kathy. I don't think we've heard Kathy before.
No.
Which I love. Kathy
familiar.
in helping Damon out of the store. So he has to be helped out by the two ladies. And Damon says, "You chose wisely, Miss Sant. Whatever that hag's power may be, her intent is almost certainly an evil one." So we've seen Damon fight all manner of super powerful beasts. he fucking fought the first man Adam on top of the Universal Matrix and held his own. Yeah, he did tons of crazy shit. And this weird old hag has kind of got him on the ropes a little bit. So
I love it.
I love it too. And I think Gerber, knows that we probably remember that. And so he's, even though this old hag, this old crone is not really menacing visually, but Gerber's really letting us know that this is powerful. Like, she is a powerful force. She's yelling. Yeah. Alatu.
He had an easier time with Alatu.
He definitely
Nurgle's
did.
wife, one of the kings of hell, than her.
Yeah, she's basically kind of defeated him. He falls to the floor and has to be helped out of the room.
Yeah, first round, he lost.
Let's totally. And she's yelling after them. That's right, Christine. You listen to him. He's an expert on evil. Hellstrom, I curse you. You've robbed this child of my aid, and you'll pay. So yeah, and Hellstrom's kind of getting his bearings a little bit. And he's like, I hated that woman the instant I laid eyes on her. And the narration reads, the frightened yapping of a dog interrupts Damon's anguished explanation. And when he sees why the little canine is so terrified, Swabata is all but forgotten. For any danger she may pose pales before that of a mad wolf loose on the streets of the city. And I love this. And yeah, around the corner comes this just slavering wolf that is great. Not exactly as wolf-like as I would have wanted. Not really a pronounced snout, more of a lynx maybe. But yeah, still very cool. I love that the action ramped up at the end of this.
Me too. I love the layouts on this page. The way this is broken down just like in a 2x3 grid, all equal sized, and it's just so it forces you, it's not about layout, it's not about whatever, it's about the composition of the panels, and the angles here are amazing. Particularly that bottom row there, where you're looking up at the full moon, and he's kind of just catching some fresh air and recovering himself, and you spin around. It feels like the Batman, the canted angles, and then you get this super smash cut into this slavering dog's jaw. Amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to just keep repeating myself, but Buscema's storytelling is this is fucking Scott McCloud Comics 101. This is how to demonstrate motion. This is how to tell a story in 6 panels.
Yeah.
Sal is amazing.
Yeah, look at this whole page. He's down, he's got his knee, knee down, kneeling, and then looking crow's eye view from every fucking angle. It's masterful. And it's that same sense of the stuff with Colin, where it's this is a dinner party. You don't need to flex this hard. But yeah, he does.
But he does. Yeah, he does because he can.
Because he's an artist. So yeah, on the next page, we get the attack of the dog, and Damon is reeling back, and it's up on his biz, and be some close-ups here I made in the slideshow. They're freaking out, the ladies behind him, and he gets bit pretty good. And he just, in this last panel of the page, he just slams this dog down on the ground. I don't like the content, but, I don't think it's an earthly dog by any means. I don't think it's, I think he knows this, right? He's not this isn't Lassie, this isn't whatever, Ren Tin Tin.
No.
This is something extra normal, paranormal. And so it's chomped down on his wrist, and he slams down on the ground with this blue, midnight blue background and the reds and blacks in the foreground. I love it. His body erupts in maniacal rage. He just, he just broke that dog's neck, right? It's absolute fucking mayhem.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I don't know. Would it be better if this wolf looked, because it's supposed to be a wolf, right?
Yeah. This looks like a stray dog.
But it looks like a stray dog.
It's like Wile E. Coyote.
That's the only thing that I was I wish this wolf looked more wolf-like and not just like a dog, because I think it's Because yeah, Letty, everything is you kind of feel bad for this thing because it looks just like a dog, and so yeah, that's my only kind of complaint in the design. I mean, he has red eyes in that second to last panel, which is great, but yeah, and yeah, I don't know if PETA would approve this next page. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, so. Yeah, after the kind of brutality. Oh man, that last panel though, I love the coloring. Like the simple coloring of red and blue is so effective and beautiful.
Oh goddamn.
Okay, so yeah, next page. So Damon's reached for his falling trident, or his fallen trident, and just as the wolf kind of like lunges toward him, he impales it on his trident. Then soul fire like bursts forth from the trident, incinerating the wolf. And yeah, it's pretty brutal, I have to say. And at the bottom narration says, its smoldering cinders drop to the earth along with an exhausted Damon Hellstrom. He hears Catherine Reynolds' frightened voice calling to him, hears himself answer, yes, I will be all right. In that final panel, Catherine says, thank God you could have been killed. Do you realize what that was? What happened here? The cards, Damon, the symbols on the cards. And yeah, we think back to that demonstration that we saw on the moon card with the wolves.
Yeah. And
so yeah, the fortune teller's card reading is coming to pass.
I love that angle of her too. Like it's not like worm's eye view. It's not eye to eye. Like it's this weird mid that is off-putting.
It is, because it's, it's like from the view of someone who is in Damon's position, who is on his knees, like kind of looking up. And that's what's so brilliant about the movement between those two panels. What happens in the gutter there is real.
Yeah.
And you can feel it because it's Damon looking up at Catherine, who is terrified.
Yeah. And you get this even without a canted angle, this kind of sense of like just kind of reeling and like collecting your senses. Like, did I just kill a dog?
Yeah.
Oh man. So on this next page, she kind of posits her theory here. So she's like, is it Christine? It's Chris, right? Christine? She's like saying to Dr. Reynolds, like, yeah, that's right. The dog and the wolf bang at the moon. And we get this beautiful panel where in the background, Buscema showing the tarot card that they're referring to, and the face in the moon is Damon's profile. I love that. And she's like, don't you see the old woman sicked? They misspelled sick. That's 2 C's, but whatever. Sicked that wolf on us. It had to implant all of it. And he's like, oh, yes, I see, to prove her power. That hag almost cost me her life. And he just goes full on shaft, kicks in some door, and he's like, I'll burn the living heart from her breast for this. Ow. So I just love how he's just, there's still fangs out. Like, he's still furious.
Yeah.
But he's gone into her shop front, and there's nothing there. There's no velvet painting of comatees. There's no incense cones, nothing. And he screams a cry of sheer frustration. I love how pissed off he is.
I know.
And so his demonic side retreats to the depths of his psyche, and he says, I suggest we return to campus, Doctor, and puzzle out this mystery there. And at this point, I'm like, library.
Right.
So they pile in the back of Dr. Reynolds' car. They're urgently racing up Grand to Gateway U. And he's like, so you can't conceive of any reason why Sobata might have singled you out. And he's like, are you staring at something, Miss Sand? And she's like, your hand, it's completely healed? How? He's like, psychic healing is a talent of mine. So apparently he does maintain a secret identity to some extent. And so we get this great shot looking down at them tooling along in the doctor's car, and it says, Damon, you don't suppose she'd try it again, do you? And he's like, another trained wolf, Doctor. And meanwhile, we get a billboard on the side of a building, and this is like an industrial district, and it says Red Devil Sausage Factory. I'm doing contextual closure here. So it's not deviled ham, but it's It's something.
Well, I was trying to think of the Mr. Show thing. What is it? Crazy Devil.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I could think of. So
Have you
yeah,
had deviled ham?
I don't know if I have, honestly.
I never have. Is it like deviled eggs? Is it like you take ham, you mince it up and like mix it up and add some stuff to it and then put it back in a can? Like, what is deviled ham?
I'm assuming smoked paprika is involved in some way.
Okay.
So yeah, on the next page, as they drive off, this giant sign reading Red Devil Sausage Factory detaches from the building and falls in front of their car. So the narration reads, "Next surprise." The eyes of the cartoon devil blink, then glower with male violent life. And suddenly it becomes clear, this is no mere plan, however complex. There are weird forces at work here, forces powerful enough to transform a sign painter's handiwork into this. And then it becomes the devil card come to life. On the bottom panels, the horned batwing claw-footed devil of the tarot pack comes hurtling from the sign through Reynolds' windshield. So this devil, crashes through the car's windshield and starts to throttle the son of Satan. So you're just like, holy shit. Yeah, I love Dr. Reynolds' face in that too.
Me too. That's my favorite
really
part of
awesome.
the panel. Is that weird?
No, it's great.
Okay.
It's really well done.
The art on this page is just sick.
It's great.
That middle row.
That middle row especially.
God damn.
Yeah.
Like coming out of that, it does look like the deviled ham guy from the little cans of deviled ham.
It
right?
does.
It's like that Simpsons, like, just don't look, just don't look. And then it fully just emerges as Baphomet. That's horrifying.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Big fan. Big fan.
It's got Paul Anka's guarantee.
So on the next page, we have Baphomet just pulling him and her out of the glass, like just by their necks. And he spreads his big bat wings, which we know he has, and he flies off. So we've gone fully off the rails into whatever world. Like, this is whatever, right? And I love this next panel here where Christine Sand is just doing a perfect, like, 50s Atlas, like, whatever, like, Scream Queen thing. Just like clawing at her face with how horrible it is. Is she crazy? Is the world crazy? And we get a beautiful panel of them as silhouette flying off, him carrying them by their throats, and then he just drops them on top of a building. I love that panel for some reason.
It's great.
It's gray, blue, and black. It is so striking and strong. He just kind of flies off, and they're unharmed. And he veers off away, and he dropped her, and he still has Damon, and we get this really weird Gerberian like Beastie Boys Shout Out to the Five Boroughs thing, where he's like, away over Highway 40 it soars, past the city limits, past the suburbs of Clayton, Richmond Heights, Webster Groves, Ladue, and there, above the intersection of 40 and Ballas Road, Damon loses consciousness. I love that gross bird harpy claw around his throat as he's just kind of like grimacing until he passes out. But yeah, that narrative part killed me.
Oh, it's awesome. Gerber's just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to describe my neighborhood to you, basically. Like, oh, God, it's great. Yeah, you're right. And Christine's face is so great. It is. It's Atlas Scream Queen. I'm going to use that as a descriptor from now on. So, next page, the monster then flies Damon to the semi-rural Baldwin, Missouri, which I looked, and it's 23 miles from St. Louis. So
that's like 4 minutes.
Yeah, they flew for a little while, but it's not as long. It's not as long as I thought.
A demon on bath salts? That's not.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably. It's probably not that long. It says toward what once was the country estate of a prominent local banker. And it's just like, oh, okay, that's a lot of information. Maybe that'll come up later. We'll see. And it says, and here the journey ends, as does the devil thing itself. So yeah, the devil basically just kind of turns into mist.
I fucking love that.
It's awesome. Damon plunges downward through a skylight into an upstairs parlor. And there he lies for long moments amid the shards of glass. His awareness seeps slowly back into his tortured mind. Like Damon's kind of got his ass kicked for this entire issue, by the way.
Oh, God, yeah.
Suddenly, he's fucking Sam Spade. Like, he's just getting the shit kicked out of him the entire time. Well, he's a noir protagonist.
Were you at all, like me, all my notes for the rest of this issue were just like, kind of Glitter Knight, kind of Marcosa House? Like,
yeah.
It just feels like Jack getting worked by much more powerful forces.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool, you know. I was really impressed with it. So yeah, he's kind of coming to. He says, somewhere, but where? Have to get up. Have to sit. See if the danger is past. And then I love that final panel. Man, it's fucking cool. So he's got his head in his hands. And the narration reads, alas, it's plain that while one peril has fled, another is about to reveal itself. The peril of the 9 of Swords, the card of cruelty, suffering, despair. And yeah, behind him are 9 swords, and one of them is gleaming, like the 7th one is gleaming, which I'm sure has some kind of meaning that Gerber, I'm sure that was a script note. Yeah. That it was like, make the 7th one gleam, which I love. Like, Gerber's so fucking awesome.
And it's cool that, like, between Gerber and Buscema, like, Buscema's so talented, and Gerber, the way he's calling out these things in requests, I'm sure in the script notes, like, we've already gotten the conceit that these are the tarot reading coming to life. We get it. But the art is so strong that you don't groan or roll your eyes or like, oh, I get it now. Like, it's like, I can't wait to see the next one. Like, that's how I was. Like, once they revealed that the dogs were that card, I was like, oh my God, we get to see the whole hand. Like, I was excited because I like what Buscema's doing.
No, it's not heavy-handed at all. It's very organically, like, integrated into the story. And so, yeah, I don't know. You know, I read this a couple times and I liked it better each time I read it. To where I was just like, this might be a weirdly perfect comic for if you're just a person who's just read some comics and you read this and you're like, yeah, this is fine. Like, this is a normal comic. It does the job. And that's probably what I would have said at 25, honestly.
Right.
I would have looked at this and been like, it's fine. But now I read it, and reading it multiple times, you really realize the subtlety of the storytelling here. I love it.
Me too. I think just graphically, it's a triumph, honestly. So, fun twist. This was the house of a prominent banker, but it's also the current headquarters of some knuckleheads we met several issues back in the park. It's the League of Nihilists, or whatever they're called.
Legion of Nihilists.
Legion of Nihilists. So yeah, this once stately manse is now their meeting place. So the cult of nothing is their epithet. So they charge in once they hear, this guy land in the skylight, and they're like, behold, brothers and sister, what has been delivered into our hands? Briefly but violently introduced in Spotlight number 16. And so they start reaching, those swords were not symbolic, they're real. So they start grabbing those, and they're wearing their centurion garb and their whatever. Mm-hmm. And one, takes a swipe at him, and he's like, drown this evil one in his own cursed hellblood. He's like, hey, I mean you no harm. And he picks up a wooden bench. He's like, are you mad? Put that thing away. I tell you, I've done nothing. Like, nothing? Nothing save consorting with devils. No. You fly unaided, wield sorcerer's fire. You claim to be an exorcist, yet you wear Baphomet's brand on your chest. He has a point.
He does. He really does.
I have to say, like, don't blame this dude's not in trouble here. And then Damon goes for style points and uses a giant wooden bench as a baseball bat. And this is like saying, and demons seem to flock to you, not flee. And you dare say you've done nothing. And he just clocks him with a bench. And then some more people are storming in, grabbing those swords off the wall. You are all witnesses, brothers and sister. You all saw what that intruder did to Brother Cassius. So yeah, somehow he ended up in the weirdest throwaway characters clubhouse, and has to deal with them now.
Okay, so my favorite part of this was the segue between the panel of Damon on the ground and above him we see the 9 swords. It went from metaphorical to diegetic.
Yep.
To where you're just like, oh no, those are really hanging on a fucking wall.
No, those are there.
That is so
These
brilliant.
are real swords.
That is brilliant.
Yeah,
and yeah,
great.
I loved this page because I was laughing because last time we saw the Legion of Nihilists, it was the 4,000 holes, right,
Yep.
in Forest Park, and the Legion of Nihilists are fucking goofy as shit. Like, but I love that Gerber doesn't need to give them a backstory. He's just like, nope, they're the Legion of Nihilists. They dress like Roman gladiators, I guess, right? And
yeah, I mean,
they have Roman names, and
if you believe in nothing.
yeah, and that's all you need to know. So I love this. And for some reason, the way that I read the storytelling in that panel where he clocks him, I want to imagine that he hit him so hard in the taint that it just raised him up like that. I don't know if my mind is taint centric for some
Like he's
reason.
the windbreaker.
Yeah. but yeah, I loved where this story is going too.
Reverend Kalunda.
Yeah. So yeah, on the next page, Damon does another killer move. He swings on the chandelier, plowing into 2 of the Nihilists. But then we finally see the sister, not sisters, but sister, and we see the Lady Nihilist with a metal cone bra, who tells him she's like she is equal to her brothers both in strength and skill. To where I loved Damon replies, then you shall be dealt with as such, and just clocks her in the back of the head with the fucking hilt of the sword.
What the fuck?
I know. And then he says,
I love it.
Which leaves but one of these lunatics to dispense with. Come on, let's get it done. And then I love that it says, but citing his fallen comrades, the 5th cultist turns and runs, fearful for his life. All I could hear was Walter saying, Donnie, these men are cowards. Like, don't worry, Donnie, these men are cowards. And like this guy, the nihilist just runs off, and his face of terror is
Dropping
really
his
fucking
sword.
funny. This page made me laugh multiple times out loud as I was reading it.
Yeah, I kept thinking about the Shroud's Tower of Shadows or whatever, where it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever this is the opposite of that. Like,
Yeah.
Tower of Stooges.
It is. It's so goofy. I love how the Legion, like Gerber is particularly reading the Legion of Nihilists as just fucking dumbasses, which I love. It's so funny.
All right, so we get to the final page here. I was already missing Sal's art at this point, but so Damon's done. The threat is the threat, air quotes, is gone. Once he hears the door slam behind the nihilist, his shoulders slump, his eyelids close, his fingers go limp, and the sword clangs against the floor. You can hear it echoing right against the stone walls. Ever since his odd fainting spell in Madame Swabata's parlor, he has been running on sheer nervous energy. Now, even that is depleted. He feels his knees giving way beneath him. He's sweating, right? He's just like the full exhaustion, the adrenaline's wearing off. I love that Sal makes his collar get higher and higher every time you see it, to where it's like a dog cone. He feels himself slumped to the floor, no longer able to stave off the effect of exhaustion upon him. He considers trying to stand. Yes, he gives the notion deep thought, and conquers that whatever might be gained by forcing himself back to his feet. And concludes that whatever might be gained by forcing himself back to his feet would ultimately be far less gratifying than the opportunity for repose offered by the 4 of Swords. So, the reading is complete. All the stuff that Madame Sobata read in here came true in a sense and reality, and we get the 4 of Swords, which I didn't go back and reread what that actually was, what that part was, but I'm sure it's like defeat and whatever, quitting.
Yeah, but how cool is just, I thought one of the coolest things about this issue is how kind of defeated that Damon is in a lot of this issue, to where it's almost like his strength is being sucked away by these tarot cards. And I think it's cool. And I almost think it's Gerber deliberately pulling back on his, unlimited power, because
100%.
because of course that becomes not interesting, if your protagonist can just defeat everything immediately, which is kind of what he did for the Alatu issues. Even though Alatu was jumping, body to body, Damon's just like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just going to defeat you. But yeah, now it's I don't know. I think Gerber did a really cool thing, because you also kind of don't know. You're like, why is Damon having such a hard time with this? And it's mysterious and you don't know. So you really want to read the second part. Really, really effective.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think you're 100% right that I think that between the Atlantis jaunt back 20,000 years and the whack-a-mole with the demon thing, like Gerber realized, I've overplayed my hand here and this character's too strong. He needs to be put in his place. He needs that Thor, not so fast junior kind of thing.
Yeah, but how cool that Gerber decides to do it not with a giant, all-powerful monster, but with this like kind of wizened old lady who's wielding cards, and that's what kind of defeats him, which I think is awesome. It's great, because it makes me wonder, as I was reading this, I'm like, how is she doing this? Like, this is cool. Like, it really made me want to read the next issue, which, I wasn't maybe as excited to read the second Alatu issue as I am to read the second part of this issue.
Right. Definitely. Cool. So if there's any questions, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. If people had questions they wanted to ask, this would be a good time to do it before we go into final thoughts or the letter too. I have a letter I want to read. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited for the next issue. And I'm stoked that Sal is going to be here for a while, but I don't want to get into final thoughts. I'm sorry. Can you riff for a minute while I find the letter I wanted to read?
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I made sure and looked ahead every and Gerber's going to leave pretty soon. He's only got a couple issues left, and then we get I think we get goddamn Claremont, if I'm correct. And I'm excited. Sal, I know Al McWilliams is going to be inking issue 25. I tried not to look ahead too much to see who the other inkers were with Sal. But yeah, I'm excited he's here too. I mean, I know a completely different writer and artist team takes over for the actual Son of Satan series. But yeah,
which I don't know.
I don't know at all. I haven't read any of this stuff. So I'm approaching it as a newborn babe, and it makes me very excited.
I want to spank you.
Thank you.
Just to get you breathing.
I need it.
There's a bunch of letters on this, so I'm just going to read one short one.
Okay.
This is from Nicholas Crincoli. Elizabeth, New Jersey, by the way. Dear Steve, I think that The Son of Satan is becoming one of the better comics on the stands, if it isn't so already. Sal Buscema did a great job in issue number 20. The introduction of the tarot cards was an excellent idea. You should bring in more of the supernatural into the stories. But you better bone up on the subject, though, because I've got a gripe. On page 6 of number 20, there was one mistake. In the tarot deck, there are 78 cards, 22 of which are the major arcana, not major arena. See, I knew that when I was reading that, but I didn't want to.
Me too.
As you stated, I consider this a noticeable error, and I'll be expecting my no prize on Chariot Express. Something else which bothers me is that in Damon's tarot spread, there are 11 cards. In the layout you showed, there are usually only 10 cards, the one which indicates the individual being missing. I don't call this a mistake, as there are many deviations to the standard spread, but could you please check on it? I can't find any mention of such. So fair. Quick response is, it's a fair one. You're right, Nick. The cards of the tarot are divided into the major and minor arcana, not arenas. That was a typographical error, not a fault in Steve's research, but it was a major mistake, and you've won your no prize for spotting it. On the matter of the 11th card, though, reread the panels in which Madame Swabata selects Damon's significator card and the covering card. And you'll see we explained that the second card is placed directly on top of the significator. That's why the latter was not visible in the 2-page spread. I knew that one. I picked up on that. I was like,
Nice.
where's the other card? Oh, it's on top. It's literally right on top. It's coloring the atmosphere of his question, right? That's what she said, or affecting. Yeah. So anyway, I liked it. Yeah. Final thoughts, I guess. I don't know.
We've been pretty effusive throughout the whole issue, but yeah. Final thoughts. I mean, I'm very excited. Sal's here. I wish Al Williams was here for the rest of the issues, but I'm sure it'll be okay. I genuinely, I'm excited that we're getting 2-parters now. Like we've had a couple 2-parters, and yeah, for this one, I was most excited. Like I was just like, oh, I really want to know what's going to happen. And yeah, Gerber's really kind of spreading his wings storytelling wise. I love that he did, the double-page spread with all the text. I've always just, anytime I see that in a mainstream Marvel comic from the 70s, I'm just like, oh, this is badass.
That's ballsy, man.
It's ballsy. It is, and that's what,
like,
and that's
Alan Moore
what
shit.
I want. Yeah, it is Alan Moore shit, and that's what I love. It's proto Alan Moore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the more that I read Gerber, and especially a lot of the times, especially when he incorporates a ton of text into his work, it's absolutely where Alan Moore got that from.
Yeah.
100%.
You think so?
I do. I honestly do.
Has Moore ever talked about Gerber as being an influence at all?
I'm
or no?
sure he has. I mean, yeah.
I figured he was one of those, I don't know, more so prickly. I just thought he was one of those people who's like an American creator. No.
Yeah. No.
No. Yeah, man, I laid my cards out, no pun intended, at the beginning. Like, I fucking love Sal as an adult now, and this art was gorgeous. And I think you're right. You pointed this out mid-episode. Like, I'm pretty sure that's Al Zinks, making him sing. So when Sal does a good job and he's excited about a story and he has a good inker, fucking A, man, it's unbeatable in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was blown away by how much I liked this. I read this 3 times and I loved it every time. It's fucking weird. And I love, it has that stuff like the weirdness of Spiros and the cosmic journey thing, but it throws in the demon shit and the fucking monsters and the magic. So like, or not magic, but the dark, whatever, supernatural. So I'm all for it. Bring this shit on. I'm bummed that Steve's not gonna be around for the main title, but when he gets his own book.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't remember any of them, to be honest with you. I remember some of these from back when I read these 20 years ago, but yeah, I don't remember much of the actual 8 issues of the book itself that he got.
Definitely. But what's funny is that we love this art and we love what Al is bringing as an inker. But it's funny, this totally fits in with normal, even like house style of Marvel. It almost is like taking the house style of Marvel and subverting it in really, in really subtle ways that makes it cool and differentiates it from different, from normal Marvel titles in a way that's really cool. I don't know. I love I love what these guys are doing in the sandbox. They're taking the normal toys and they're just tweaking them enough to where it's very unique and special.
I'm a big fan. So we're still working out how we talk about the bonus show, but we do know that our upcoming so what we do on the bonus show, guys, if you're new to the show, we do a bonus show for our Patreon supporters every week, and every season we talk about like a different movie, and then we just talk about stuff. So this season, since it's Son of Satan, we're talking about devil movies. Not only just devil movies, but devil movies from the 70s, which is like an amazing era for these films. And the next one we're watching is going to be The Blood on Satan's Claw, which is one of the unholy trinity of folk horror films, which is Witchfinder General from 68, I think, Blood on Satan's Claw from like 71, and Wicker Man from 74. Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
So those are the foundation upon which all folk horror is kind of measured and built and extrapolated upon. So I'm super stoked we're watching this one. It's set in medieval times. It's very folk horror-y. The premise is that there's a peasant plowing, and he finds a skeleton that has some weird protrusions on its bones, and they realize that it might be like a post-human that somehow communed with the gods and became something beyond human, and the children of the village are drawn to it and start getting unnaturally attracted to it and doing weird things around it, and everyone gets very upset. It's a very strange movie. I fucking love it. Here's the cool thing. Not only do we talk about this on the next week's bonus episode, but we're going to watch it all together on our Discord channel, which is a great place for people to come and hang out and just watch crazy ass movies. We all get together, usually Saturday or Sunday. We watch the devil movie for the week. Some people turn the cameras on, turn the mics on, chat, do a little bit of just commentary on the movie. Some people don't. Some people just hang back and keep the camera off, the mic muted, and just watch the movie and say goodnight and go away. We'd love to have you on Discord. We're going to include a link to a permanent undying link now to our Discord in the show notes here on YouTube. So check us out. We'd love to have you on there. We have a great time. We get more and more people each time we watch something, and it's super fun to watch these crazy ass devil movies. That being said, that's the Patreon part, the bonus show where we talk about that movie. That's something that's for our members, and we love doing that. We have several tiers of support. One of the tiers is just $1 level a month. It's kind of a tip jar. You don't get much beyond some cool Werewolf by Night / Manwolf wallpaper we had a graphic designer make for us. Mm-hmm. But then at $2, you get the audio version of the bonus show, which is not the way I recommend you take it, by the way. But you can do that. But at $3, you get the video version. At $5, you become what's called a pack member, and you get shout-outs on the show, which we're going to do in 1 second here. And you get some bonus material stuff that nobody else gets below you. And then there's a new tier we added because of people asking to do it, which is the Star God level. This came after the Manwolf run when he becomes a barbarian space deity. And people wanted to give us more money for what we do here to fund the show, and we love them for that. So that's $10 or above a month. And they get some extra stuff that nobody else gets, and early access to some little videos and stuff like that we do. So we do shout outs on the main show like this every time. And in the bonus show, we do a little shout outs on the credits for them. So let's dive into those shout outs right now for our pack members, Jacob.
Yeah, our pack members are people like Tim Tucker.
And Brian from Marvel by the Month.
Blake, last name withheld.
Caleb.
David Goodwin.
Ben M.
Michelle from Moonlit Comics.
Letty. Hi, Letty.
Jeff Fitzpatrick.
Jesse McFerrin.
Johnny Turner.
Justin the Owl.
Russ from Tomes of Evil.
Actually, you know what? By the way, I forgot to update you on this. It's Russ from Pathways, a Sith podcast.
Oh, shit.
Yes, he has a new show. He retired Tomes of Evil, and he started Pathways, a Sith podcast. I wanted to shout that out.
Okay, excellent.
Brad Elmore.
Jason Finestone.
Jared Savedas.
Brink.
Bill from Long Island.
David D.
MJ, or some British cult.
Glenn Lash.
And Rob Haferman. Thank you for being pack members. You guys are our most swollen ranks, and we love you for all the support you give. And there's one benefit I mentioned to being the next tier up, which is Star God, that I forgot to mention. That's if you are a Star God for 6 months or more, you get to go in our Threadless shop and pick out a t-shirt or a coffee mug, and we will send that to you free of charge as a thank you for your loyal support. So the Star Gods are people like Ryan from Across the Bifrost, a Mighty Thor podcast.
John Walsh.
Michael Giacchino.
Melissa Watts.
Josh Link.
Jackson T. Overstreet.
Mark Nivens.
Eric Hadley.
And Catherine Neff. Thank you for supporting the show at the Star God level. You guys allow us to stretch out and do some weird stuff that we want to do. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how fun the Discord is. And you don't have to be a pack member or a Star God to join our Discord. You can join the Discord for free. You can do our watch-alongs. You don't have to give us any money. Just come and hang out. I say this almost every time, but I have more and more fun each week with the Discord. I love it. I look forward to it. It is not work. It is one of my favorite things to do each week. So I can't stress enough. Please join us for that.
Yes, and again, there is a link to the Discord that should not expire in the show notes. Please join us on there. We have threads for music, movies, deep thoughts, miscellanea, what you're reading, what you're thinking, what you're whatever. I mean, it's just, people who are artists in our thread, go on there and post like works in progress and get feedback from people. It's what you thought the internet would be before it turned into a shithole. It's just nice people who respect each other and just, have differing opinions. We don't all agree on everything at all times, but everyone's very respectful in there, and I love it.
It's great.
Yeah, Letty says Discord community equals free serotonin. Thank you, Letty. Exactly.
It's so true.
The nicest goddamn people are on there. So it's so cool. Cool. Well, there were some technical difficulties here. We're going to surmount those next time we do this, but we're going to do this again. Like I said, I'd like to gamify it a little bit and throw in some trivia or something to make it kind of not a scavenger hunt, but something kind of magical happening there, and some prizes to be had, especially from our Threadless shop where I don't have to mail anything personally. I just write a check. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us this week, everybody. We really appreciate you being here. If you're seeing this after the fact, thank you for joining us and watching it afterwards. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe, all that crap. We would love it. And if you don't already subscribe to us, the audio version, there's an audio version of this going out tomorrow on our regular feed. So nobody's missing anything. But please join us next week because we're going to be talking about what happens after this. I can't fucking wait. Like, I'm going to probably read this issue tonight, actually.
I know. I don't know if I can wait either. I'm excited. No, this was great. We had a few hiccups, but this was a pretty good maiden voyage for this. And like you said, Matt, we're going to try and do this once a month.
Yeah. I think it's a fun way to interact with folks. I loved being able to have people there, their comments come up on the screen. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Again, we'll do an Ask Us Anything at some point where we'll carve out a little bit of time at the end just to kind of, what's Jacob really like? Or what you've seen Jacob with the shirt off. What's that all about? And be like, oh man. But, this time right now, we're just going to do basically a straight version of the show, just live, and poured out the audio to the feed. So cool. You know where to find us, guys. We're at Bronze Age Monsters on Instagram and Bronze Age Monst1 on Twitter, which I want to get the fuck off of ASAP. If you want to email us, we're at bronzeagemonsters@gmail.com. As I mentioned before, you can voicemail us at 971-220-5865. That's 971-220-JUNK. We would love to hear from you. Let us know what you thought about the live thing. Like, if you have notes, I love constructive feedback. I'm not precious, and I don't have much ego when it comes to my creative endeavors. So if you want to call and say, Matt, you look like a fat piece of shit, and I hate your fucking guts, that's cool. I guess.
That's not cool.
No, but if you could catch with some notes like, so be less stupid, or...
Yeah, as long as it's constructive.
Yeah. Anyway, join us next week. And until we meet again next week, by the 7 circles and the Hadean chimes, stay bronze, pony boy. Stay bronze. Woot woot!
That was awesome. Thank you so much, everyone that came and commented and checked this out. This was awesome. I had a lot of fun doing this. I think we're going to try and make we're going to definitely try and do it once a month. And it's great.
I like the live vibe. It's different.
Oh, the live vibe is cool. Yeah, it's totally different, and I love that. Yeah, people that tune in, they can see us live with the art, and you did such a great job of having the art up there. And yeah, it's a different thing. And just for those who don't watch the bonus show, if you watch these, you get to see my little sweet pea right here with me, who gives us a nice Hail Satan at the end of every bonus show. So check that out.
That's cool because I don't have to edit out you berating me and like yelling at me like Bill O'Reilly or whatever, like all the time. Yeah. Like,
I did say, "Fuck it, let's do it live."
You're on your best behavior.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jacob, nice work, and I'm super stoked to talk about or to watch Blood on Satan's Call with you Sunday night.
Yeah, everyone that's here, yeah, I'm sure everyone who's on here will be joining us for Blood on Satan's Claw. And it's funny, that's the one I haven't seen. I've seen Witchfinder General, but yeah, I've not seen Blood on Satan's Claw, so I'm very excited.
It's money.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
All
Thank
right,
you.
good night, all.
Stay bronze.